Welcome to Truth Seekers. Hello, friends, and welcome indeed to Truth Seekers Radio. I'm your host, Dennis Nappi II, on Service of Change Radio. This is my first attempt at Truth Seeker Radio, something I've been thinking about doing for quite some time now. It's a project that goes hand in hand with my newest book that just came out called I Am Human, and We Are Not Who We Think We Are. I was really excited about the launch of that. It's available for free at serviceofchange.com/IamHuman. And, I'm in the process of putting together my next big book that is called I Am Human, Food for the Archons. This is something that's significantly affected my life. And I want to talk about that tonight on this first introductory show because it's kind of the driving force behind really putting this radio network together and putting this show specifically on the air that I'm going to try to do 5 days a week. Now, I'm feeling a little ambitious with that, but at the same time, at the moment, I'm unemployed because I got laid off because education's in a really bad state right now, and all this money is threatening to be cut once again because obviously they don't want to educate our children and they don't want to invest the money they need to because it's better to put the money toward prisons according to, obviously some of the decisions that the state has made over the years. So do I think we're in trouble? Absolutely. Do I want to scare you with that information? No. My goal is to hopefully provide a little bit of information, inspire you to do your own research and work and throw out suggestions and ideas I've had based on my experiences or just my daydreaming on things that we can do to make this a lot better, in a non-violent type of way. In most situations, I think you don't even have to hit to the streets and protest. Just stop, funding a lot of these corporations that are ending up causing all these problems. But I'm getting off topic here. Like I said, I'm excited to be doing this podcast. Please bear with me if I seem a little disorganized because I have not found my flow with this particular one yet, like I have on the Change Cast with Joel and Lori. So thank you so much for listening. I want to talk a little bit about my book I Am Human today. It's I think that's a fitting discussion. And hopefully you'll consider going to serviceofchange.com/IamHuman and getting access to read it for free online because I think it's an important discussion that we need to have. And if you've ever read or ever seen the movie The Matrix, that has kind of an underlying theme to this book I Am Human. I reference it in there as well. It's parallel to that. But how did I get to the point where I'm at right now, where I'm sitting here doing a podcast talking about, things that might, have people scoff at me or kind of give me funny looks to say this stuff publicly. How did I get from wherever I was as a teacher to here? Well, I haven't lost my mind. I haven't gone crazy. Since I was a kid, I've had all sorts of strange experiences, and I've never forgotten them. I've had them throughout my entire life. At night I would wake up at times and have what a lot of people refer to as sleep paralysis, where I can't move. I'm completely frozen, but I'm conscious. I'm fully alert. I'm fully awake in my mind. Sometimes I can open my eyes a little bit. Sometimes I can't open them at all. But my mind is processing. There have been times I've fallen asleep and the TV's playing and I can hear it. I can hear the show that I fell asleep watching, so I'm able to listen to it. And as I'm paralyzed, all of a sudden, I realize I'm not alone. There's someone else in the room with me. And some of you out there listening may have experienced this before. And then all of a sudden, this sheer terror overtakes you, and it's as if that terror was in. The only way I can describe it is as if it's thrown at me. It's induced in me. No matter how hard I try not to be afraid, I'm just terrified of whatever is around me. And, you know, I can sense that presence standing next to me. Sometimes I can see it out of the corner of my eye, a shadowy figure. You know, and I've read studies on sleep paralysis. I've talked to a lot of people that say, oh, it's just your imagination. It's just a dream. But when you have that consciousness piece to it, you know, it doesn't feel like a dream. It doesn't feel like your imagination. And I've had encounters that have taken it to the next level where something's reached out and touched me, grabbed my chest or touched my face. There's no denying that sensation. And then either I am jolted wide awake, sitting up in my bed completely confused, or I can't help but to fall asleep and pass out and wake up the next morning extremely groggy, wondering what happened. So I dealt with those experiences a lot as a child, especially in my teenage years, and then even in my 20s. You know, when I lived by myself, I had quite a few encounters with things like this, which is why I actually started Truth Seekers back in 2005. You know, I started an online support group called Truth Seekers to talk about this stuff because I wanted to know what was going on and were other people experiencing this. And I came to find out that yes, a lot of conclusions that I drew on my own, I ended up going online and doing a search and finding out, wow, other people not only have experienced this, but have come to a very similar conclusion as I have. So, you know, this path just continued to grow. I continued to have these encounters. I continued to do my research and listen to different speakers and podcasts and videos and talks. And you know, I've been to a few support group meetings to talk about this. Not support groups, but, you know, social groups where people focus on these types of subjects. And I'm convinced, you know, this is a very real event. Now, maybe we need to redefine our understanding of what is real. But this is something that is happening to people, you know, and I think that we need to acknowledge it and not laugh about it. There's thousands of people every year that report it. Now, a lot of people attribute this to a UFO abduction, or they call it an alien abduction. I'm not going to make that connection because I think it's something different that's happening to people. I'm not saying the two might not be related. But I'm not going to go as far as to say this is something that's alien. You know, I'm leaning towards this being more of a natural phenomenon, which probably another book down the line I'll get into exploring that a little bit more. But this book, I Am Human, it starts with, you know, one night I was just all this stuff's going through my head. I want to say it was 2011, 2010. I'm looking at it right now. It was 2009 here. Yeah, I couldn't fall asleep, and all this stuff's going through my mind, just racing through my mind, all these thoughts. And I started getting, it was like this burning feeling in my chest, like this intuition was just coming into me as I'm trying to process, what does this mean? What are these things that I'm encountering? What are these intuitive feelings I'm getting that end up being right? You know, how is this possible? I'm trying to understand all of it. And I couldn't sleep. I jumped up and I just wrote everything down. You know, and in my head, what made no sense, as I'm writing it, it came out into this clear essay that I titled I Am Human, which is the theme for this book. You know, and then I added the subheading to the book, We Are Not Who We Think We Are. And the premise of that essay was more of a reflection on our relationship to the world around us and to the universe. And I think that, at least in Western thought, we have almost an arrogance about us. I'm in charge. I'm the center of the universe. I'm the top of the food chain, king of the jungle, because I'm man, I'm smart, and I have science. And you know, I don't think that's the case. I think that we're not the top of the food chain, but I think that we're woven within it. And again, in the book, I go into more detail and explaining how, you know, we are woven within it. I'm just giving kind of a summary and highlights right here to talk about it. But when you think about it, you know, I look at the analogy of chickens and the way that they're bred in captivity for food, or fish that are in a fish tank. And this is the one that really got me thinking. At the time that I wrote this, I had fish, and I was trying to get them to breed. I always thought it'd be cool to have, fish have baby fish. And I started thinking, well, or reading that if you change the acidity, the alkalinity of the water, it'll, cause them to be either more aggressive or more docile. If you change the type of food that you feed them, or the temperature, cause them to be more sleepy, or inspire them to mate. All these different elements that these fish have no understanding of. They have no perception of the fact that I'm adding a couple of drops to make their water more acidic, which is going to make them more aggressive. They don't understand that. They don't know that that's what's happening, but it still affects them. And I really started thinking about, well, what's in our atmosphere that affects us? And there's a lot of stuff out there. Greg Braden does a lot of wonderful talks about this, and he talks about the Institute of Heart Math that actually studies this stuff. There's, and he quotes peer-reviewed, studies that should make mainstream but don't, because it changes our relationship to the earth, to the universe around us. Because we are electromagnetic beings. We put out an electromagnetic signal, and that signal is heavily influenced by our environment, by the stars around us, by the sun itself, by the earth. It all has a play in who we are and our actions. And some conspiracy theorists will go as far as to say that signal has now been hijacked through our food, through, electronic means. And if you look at the chaos in the world today, I think it makes a good argument. But I'm not going to sit here and try and debate that right now, because I don't have any facts and figures in front of me. But I encourage you to do your own research on that. I mean, look at the state of the world today, at where things are. And again, I'm not saying the world is terrible. There's a lot of wonderful, beautiful things. I'm a happy guy right now. I've got a wonderful family. I'm happy, in the place that I live. Life is good for me. But I've also seen the ugly side of life. So something is going on here. And I think until we can really take an open, honest look and challenge everything, because we've got to sit here and we've got to say, look, this isn't working. People are starving to death. People are spending all this time in jail. People are fighting. Politics are so corrupt. The banking system, we know, doesn't work. We got Greece getting ready to go bankrupt right now, or they are bankrupt right now. We have so many problems in this world. What we're doing is not working. I was in a discussion with my uncle online today, and we were saying, the banks have failed. The government has failed us. Our religion has failed us. Our education system has failed us. Everything has failed us. And again, this is not to scare you. It's more of a reality check. We need to do something different. And I think that starts with, let's take a look at a different perspective. Take a different vantage. Most people that have read I Am Human have told me, you know what, I've had those thoughts before also, Dennis. I've thought about that type of stuff sometimes too. This will really kind of get you going down that road, because, again, I think we need to do something different. We need to think, start opening ourselves up to a different possibility, because it's scary when we don't know it, when we don't understand it. But once we can start to understand these phenomenon, we can better control it, or we can better prepare for it. In martial arts, we don't always fight force with force. A lot of times we'll take that energy that's thrown at us and we'll redirect it. If we can understand what's happening around us and to us and among us, maybe we can redirect that energy. It doesn't have to be as scary. But if we want to put our heads in the sand and sit there and say it doesn't exist, or another one that I hear all the time is, well, that's evil. We can't talk about that. No, it may be negative. It may be of a negative subject. But that doesn't make it evil. It doesn't make it bad. Knowledge is not bad. You need to understand some of these bad things that are out there. So, in getting back to this book, I looked at my relationship to nature. I looked at examples in nature, and I did the whole questioning of God. And I know that's a taboo subject for people to talk about. I don't even like to use the term God anymore. I believe in a higher power, but that's not neither here nor there what I believe in on that subject. But the age-old question. It's funny. I just came across an old stack of notes from my philosophy class that I felt the need to save when I was in my undergrad school 10 years ago, 15 years ago. I don't know. I'm getting old. 15 years ago now. And it talked about the God question and said, if God exists, God must be all powerful, and if he's all powerful, he must be all knowing and all good, omnipotent, omniscient, and omnibenevolent. And said, but if God is all good, then why is there evil in this world? If God is all powerful, why is there evil in this world? And I've heard a lot of arguments. Well, we're meant to be here. We're meant to, to learn something. This is a school, or we have to suffer now in order to be saved because Adam and Eve ruined it for all of us. I'm tired of hearing that, and my reason for being tired of hearing that is because mainly 2 years ago was my last straw when I watched my father die from cancer. And I assure you it was a horrible experience because he was a good man and he suffered a lot for a long time. And in those final hours, I started to get those same feelings that I would have when I was paralyzed. Oh my gosh, I'm not alone. There's something happening here. And I talk about that in the book a little bit, and that's the basis for book 2, Food for the Archons, that's coming out hopefully next spring if I can get this book done. But it doesn't make any sense to me. And maybe I'm just trying to understand why my father died the way that he died and why it was so painful and hard on him and hard on my family. But maybe there's more to it. If you look at the works of Robert Monroe of the Monroe Institute, he is developed a method to leave your body where he can, and this has been documented by thousands of people who have attended the Monroe Institute and learned this technique through the hemisync technology that they've developed. And his book, Far Journeys, his second book after Journeys Outside the Body, talks about his experiences and how he's left the body and how he's learned things and how you can verify things through remote viewing processes. The United States military has a remote view, or had a remote viewing program. I don't think it still exists, at least not officially. And that's one of their graduates from that program. Remote viewing was developed initially as some kind of psychic spying program, but now you have the Farsight Institute. Google Farsight Institute, and you can get all the facts and scientific research you need to prove that this is a real event, remote viewing. So there is definitely more to who we are than we currently understand and currently accept. There are pockets of people and groups and organizations in official capacity and in an unofficial capacity that are accessing this knowledge, but it's not available to everybody yet. And I'd say more so that's by choice. We all have a choice, and we choose to put our head in the sand and say that's crazy. But what I'm saying is it's not crazy, and we need to start understanding this stuff more and bringing it into our everyday lives, because like I said, what we're doing now is not working. So I talked about Robert Monroe and his book, and I talked about, his name is Courtney Brown of the Farsight Institute that's located in Georgia. You want to check that out as well. And I'm currently reading a book. I believe the book is called Supernatural by Graham Hancock, and wow, connects a lot of dots for me. And I encourage you to check out these credible people, credible authors, credible researchers, scientists. Greg Braden, again, he talks a lot about the power of consciousness, the power of intention. These people are all well-respected researchers in these fields, and it's not just a standard, conspiracy theory. Everybody be afraid. This is, when I read the works of these people, I find validation and I find hope, and that's what I'm hoping to do my part to bring this peace that to somebody else, and build on what they've talked about. This is not doom and gloom. It's scary because it's unfamiliar. And when something's unfamiliar to us, we tend to be afraid of it. So that's what I want to impress upon us. Please have an open mind. Listen to, Truth Seekers podcast, or maybe I'll call it the Seiker podcast. I haven't decided. Things are going to change here, but listen to it 5 days a week is my goal. I can't promise I'm going to have that, but that's why I am promising that 5 days a week. I'm going to try Monday through Friday. We'll see. This is the dry run, how long it takes me to get through this. But please, check out those things. I have a plethora of resources. Facebook.com/truthseekers. Just go to servicetochange.com and you'll see the Truth Seekers social media links. We're on Twitter @truthseekers, and that's SEIKERS. Servicetochange.com has a lot of resources. The website's running a little slow right now. I'm in the process of fixing that, but it's well worth the wait. So please check that out. Listen to this podcast. I'm gonna, my YouTube page through Truth Seekers. Just search for Truth Seekers on YouTube. TruthSeikers. That's got a couple hundred videos. Just put it on in the background when you're driving to work or when you're, doing, cooking dinner or whatever, and just start listening to them. And you're really going to, some of it you might go, it's a little crazy, but other stuff you're going to say, wow, there really is something here to it. And that's what I want to encourage. And that's the type of stuff I want to talk about, on this podcast during the morning hour, with all of you. So at the end of the day, again, this intro was just mainly my motivation, which is based on I Am Human. And like I said, I'm working on book 2, Food for the Archons, and I hope to be able to deliver that within the year. But this really, the driving force was my father passing, and there was a lot of stuff building up to him passing, a lot of dreams that I shared a dream with my father that ties into this stuff before he died. He started having experiences before he died that I'm going to talk about in the book that I can't deny, that I can't ignore, and I need to research it further. Other authors, Carlos Castaneda, he talks about these Archons, that dark presence that I said I felt. I've come across several researchers now. David Icke's a big one that does talk about the Archons. In the Nag Hammadi texts, which were found in Egypt, they're the ones that gave them the name the Archons. They identified them. Again, Robert Monroe, I found he touched on it a little bit in one of his books, and it gave me the chills when I read it because it really paints a good picture of what's going on here. So all this research is going to come out through these podcasts and through my books. But again, a great starting point, and a great way to stay connected is serviceofchange.com/IamHuman. You can read the book for free, and you'll be signed up for the Seiker newsletter, and you'll be getting our weekly newsletter through Service of Change. If you think I'm crazy, sign up for it and find out exactly how crazy I am. If you think there may be something here, please sign up for the newsletter. It's free. It's called the Seiker newsletter, Truth Seekers, or you go to the I Am Human link, and it's right there. So please check it out. I think I'm just about out of time. I'm trying to keep this to a half hour a day, just in the interest of time, because there's lots of other things to do. But please continue to check back. Service of Change Radio is where we are at serviceofchange.com/radio, and you can listen 24/7 to, we'll have this podcast airing. I'm going to have it 4 times per day. It's going to be on a loop, and then our change casts right now are going to be playing in between that. New change casts coming out every week with myself, Joel, and Lori, and our future guests that we'll be still bringing to the table. And we're looking for people interested in bringing a podcast to the Service of Change Radio. So if you've got a podcast or an idea for a podcast, please hit me up. Go to the servicechange.com page, and you'll find ways to contact me, and just let me know that you're interested in joining the show and joining the program. And I'll be happy to work with you and get you on here. The goal is to build a network of like-minded people who ultimately want to inspire positive change, free from violence, free from all this drama that we're seeing in the media playing out every single day. So please hit me up. Please consider it. And I guess that's pretty much it. This was my first attempt at this type of format, this podcast. Working with a lot of new equipment. I've switched from Windows to a Mac. So again, I appreciate your patience, and I hope you will join me tomorrow morning or whenever to catch the next edition or the next episode of the Truth Seekers podcast. So I'm Dennis Nappi II with Service of Change Radio at serviceofchange.com, where small changes among the masses can have a massive impact around the world. And I encourage you all to be that change and keep an open mind. Thank you. Welcome to Truth Seekers.